Happy Halloween month, everybody, and Tony here, and I'm proud to say that I love Lord Zedd's monster heads, the greatest villains of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, with all of my heart, mind, and soul, which was also released to VHS on August 29, 1995. This was written by Shotaro Ishinomori, Tony Oliver, and Brad Orchard. It was produced by Shuki Levy, Tony Oliver, Brad Orchard, and Haim Saban. And this direct-to-video Halloween special included clips from Zedd's Monster Mash, Happy Birthday Zach, I Guy, The Wedding, Power Ranger Punks, and The Power Transfer. I know what some of you thinking. What? You like Lord Zedd's monster heads? You know, that type of direct-to-video Halloween special where it was pretty much all reused clips, reused audio, and basically a glorified clip show? Please, ladies and gentlemen, hear me out. The main reason why I love this direct-to-video Halloween special, even though it is essentially a glorified clip show, is that it has everything I enjoy so much about the Power Rangers franchise. The intimidating, colorful, and awesome motley crew of villains, the kick-ass fight scenes, and all the thrills that I get every time I watch these villains do their nefarious deeds in the hopes of conquering the Power Rangers. On top of that, I also love Lord Zedd, and I make it no secret that I totally adore everything that defines Lord Zedd as one of the greatest Mighty Morphin Power Rangers villains of all time. What makes him awesome, and I'm sure that I've also said this in the ways I would improve I'm Dreaming of a White Ranger, is that he out-villained Rita Repulsa. By season 2, he was the main villain and proved himself to be way more malevolent and devilish in stark comparison to Rita Repulsa. Robert Axelrod made Lord Zedd a truly intimidating, acerbically acidic, and vicious warlord that made me shiver at my boots every time I heard his voice. So Mr. Axelrod managed to do an amazing job, and a legendary one at that, at making Lord Zedd the absolutely awesome villain that he was, all full of intimidation and full of that guttural acidity that just made him shine in his own darkly special way. So I salute Robert Axelrod for making Lord Zedd the absolutely amazing villain that he was, and I also salute the legacy that Mr. Axelrod left for Lord Zedd as one of the most iconic Power Rangers villains of all time. Lord Zedd may not be as multidimensional or as deep or even as human or totally involving as Astronema from Power Rangers in Space, or even Rancic from Power Rangers Time Force. And there are even times that Queen Banshira from Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue does make Lord Zedd come off as if though he were a Care Bear. Nevertheless, Lord Zedd remains a truly legendary villain, all thanks to his demonic presence. While I love Lord Zedd with all of my heart as a villain, his scary villainous ways tended to become a little bit more diminished when Rita Repulsa returned, and when conservative parents, let alone angry parents and soccer moms, thought that he was too scary. Come on, folks. Lord Zedd was supposed to be scary. He was supposed to be this demonic and monstrous entity that out-villained Rita Repulsa. And I dare not forget at how much he got so screwed over, especially with his hackneyed plan of creating spinning tops that turn kids naughty. And if you want to hear my opinion on how badly that failed, please tune into my ways of how I would improve I'm Dreaming of a White Ranger, and the alternative I would have had for Lord Zedd instead of those silly, ridiculous spinning tops. To top it all off, in the later part of Season 2, he even got married to the resized and rejuvenated Rita Repulsa, which just seemed totally out of place because he at first fired Rita Repulsa for constantly failing to destroy the Rangers by shrinking her to a size of a doll and having Goldar put her in that gold container and then shipping her off to heaven knows where in space before she crash landed to Earth. Regardless of how I felt that Lord Zedd became a bit softer in the later parts of Season 2 and some parts of Season 3, regardless of how I thought about that marriage between Lord Zedd and Rita Repulsa being absolutely ridiculous, he is still an iconic villain that I salute, and I really enjoy his demonic and indubitably monstrous presence. The other asset I truly love about Lord Zedd's monster heads is that it managed to take advantage of the clip show elements being used by showing the Rangers in action. It was such a treat to see Tommy, Billy, and Kimberly do battle against Doomstone, Robo-Goat, Primitor, Snizzard, Pumpkin Wrapper, the Invincible Flytrap, and Rhino Blaster, and this was a major highlight from Zedd's Monster Mash. Even seeing Rita Repulsa trying to egg on Nasty Knight to try to destroy Zack from Happy Birthday Zack was quite a thrill, which is also enhanced by having all 5 Rangers be together and join forces in their Megazord against the more enlarged Nasty Knight. Even Eye Guy was a lot of fun in terms of how he was able to use his many eyes to try to destroy the Rangers and see what on earth they're doing next. Even when the Rangers thought they annihilated him, he still bounces back up and comes back with a vengeance with lasers galore. The other highlight worth mentioning is Salaguana chanting and singing how he and his gang of monsters are gonna make the Rangers into Ranger stew, and the Rangers involved in the wedding are Tommy, Rocky, Adam, Billy, Aisha, and Kimberly. So it was just as fun not only having Salaguana sing that really funny chant, which has become quite the earworm for me, but also have all these monsters do battle against the Rangers. Even Terror Toad is worthy of my commendation. The fact that you have this monster, this grotesque toad-like monster, using his tongue to devour the Rangers and have their heads printed on his stomach is not only grotesque and spooky and absolutely skin-crawling, but totally awesome. In fact, Terror Toad is one of my favorite Power Rangers monsters of all time, all thanks to his grotesque powers. And I also agree with Lord Zedd when he proclaims that Serpentera was his most memorable monster yet. This demonic dragon-like Zord, all thanks to Lord Zedd's machinations and Goldar also piloting this said Zord, managed to nearly crush the Rangers, considering that the Mega Thunder Zord, with some help from the Tortoise Zord, were almost crushed by Serpentera. Additionally, Lord Zedd proves himself to be totally unhinged when he orders Serpentera to blow up a planet. That is just how awesomely demonic Lord Zedd was as a villain. He'll stop at nothing to destroy anything and everything in his path, and do so with monstrous glee. Even the final few shots of Lord Zedd gathering all the monsters for the Halloween party, even though this was reused from Lord Zedd's and Rita Repulsa's wedding from the wedding part 2 was being used, it was still an amazing sight to behold, seeing all these monsters entering with all the gifts and a lot of the food being served. And it was also hilarious seeing Snizzard playing on the organ, although I initially thought that Lord Zedd was going to turn Snizzard into an organ so that he could end up playing the organ for all eternity. Speaking of reuse shots, there was also the final reuse shot of Lord Zedd, Rita Repulsa, and all the monsters dancing around, especially considering that Rita Repulsa also has her veil on. But other than that, I still had a grand old time watching and enjoying this particularly amazingly fun Halloween clip show special. I could also argue that it was a bit weird that Lord Zedd got acquainted with Nasty Knight, Eye Guy, and Terror Toad, considering that he never knew about these monsters before, because these were monsters mainly created by Rita Repulsa and not him. So it was a little bit of a continuity goof, but I could kind of forgive that aspect and realize that I'm sure that Rita Repulsa, while she was getting rather intimate with him, talked about all the monsters that she created, and somehow Lord Zedd kind of took credit for it. But he still acknowledged Rita's involvement in creating these monsters. And since this was a Halloween special from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it would have been cooler to have had the Frankenstein monster being featured. That would have made a lot of sense. And we would have had Pumpkin Rapper's first appearance, but Pumpkin Rapper's second appearance was being used, so it would have been a bit repetitive. The Frankenstein monster and the Pumpkin Rapper's first appearance would have made Lord Zedd's monster heads have that Halloween spirit and even increase on that a lot more. And I would have gone out of my way to proclaim that Lord Zedd's monster heads could have been a direct-to-video 1-hour Halloween special with the Rangers fighting against all of Lord Zedd's monsters, and even have Tommy, Rocky, Adam, Billy, and Aisha do battle against a lot of the monsters that Lord Zedd either resurrected or even some new ones that Lord Zedd and Rita Repulsa created just to give the Rangers a good challenge and to even have a more cohesive story behind it. But I could forgive all that because Lord Zedd's monster heads, the greatest villains of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, was still a fun and awesome direct-to-video Halloween special. The greatest asset about Lord Zedd's monster heads is that there is no sugary, syrupy, sentimental, diabetes-inducing fluff and dribble. You won't find it here, ladies and gentlemen. You won't find Lord Zedd trying to be like Barney the dinosaur, or Big Bird, or Lamb Chops, or Mr. Rogers. Who cares? Which children's entertainment icon or maverick I would have loved to mention. Basically, you will not find any of that diabetes-inducing dribble. You will not find any of that sugary sweet dribble. You won't find anything that could give your blood sugar a run for its money, let alone make you have hyperglycemia. You will find none of that. What you'll find in Lord Zedd's monster heads is a whole lot of thrills, a whole lot of fun, and a great rollickingly fun time with all of these monsters from past to present entering Lord Zedd's domain and having a party, as well as recounting some of the most iconic monsters that the Power Rangers franchise had to offer so far, especially during its Mighty Morphin years. Well, more specifically, its first 2 seasons. I definitely recommend Lord Zedd's Monster Heads, the greatest villains of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, to anybody and everybody who is a huge Power Rangers fan. If you are hankering for a Halloween special that manages to give you a great time and makes you just smile with glee at all of the grotesqueness that's going on in the most magnificent way possible, then you can never go wrong with Lord Zedd's Monster Heads. And if you're also hankering for a clip show that shows the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers at their very best when battling these said monsters, then Lord Zedd's Monster Heads is totally for you. For those of you who have grown up with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, You owe it to yourself to re-watch Lord Zedd's Monster Heads. It may be a glorified clip show. It may be on the cheap. It may be produced on a rather shoestring budget, given the reused clips being applied. You might even perceive this as a bit of a glorified rehash, given all the elements being reused, as well as some of the voice clips and audio clips being reused just to make this Halloween special be released to VHS. Regardless of whatever nitpicks there are, you can definitely still have fun with Lord Zedd's Monster Heads in its demonically glorious beauty and its awesome sense of fun in its own dark special way. And who knows, it would have been more fun to have had Lord Zedd be like the Crypt Keeper and tell his own scary stories of how these monsters came to be in close contact with the Power Rangers and fight against them. And it would have probably been even more fun to have had Lord Zedd, Goldar, Squat, Babu, Finster, Rita Repulsa, and Scorpina sit around as if though they were in a campfire and have their own version of the Midnight Society from Are You Afraid of the Dark and tell their scary stories of their iconic monsters. That would have probably made Lord Zedd's Monster Heads a whole lot more fun. But even with those little ways of how I would have liked to improve it, or even would have loved to make this stand out a lot more, I still enjoy Lord Zedd's Monster Heads in all of its demonically glorious beauty and its dark sense of fun. And for those of you who caught Lord Zedd's Monster Heads, whether you caught it on VHS as a kid or even rewatched it now as an adult, what'd you think of it? Did you really enjoy this Halloween special, even though it was kind of a glorified clip show with reused clips and reused sounds and certain elements being reused? Was there a particular monster you loved from Lord Zedd's Monster Heads, whether it was Pumpkin Wrapper, or Eye Guy, or Terror Toad, or Saliguana, or many of the other monsters being featured? Did you also feel that there should have been more Halloween-themed monsters, like the Frankenstein monster? Or did you feel like this particular Halloween special was rather underwhelming? Please let me know in the comments below. Well, that's it for my reasoning as to why I love Lord Zedd's Monster Heads in all of its fun and awesome glory, even with its grotesqueness, and with Lord Zedd's demonic presence just owning this particular Halloween special. Tune in tomorrow for my tribute to It Came from Angel Grove from Power Rangers Zeo. So until then, good night everybody, happy Halloween, and may the power protect you all.